Morning folks, this is my Show Me Your Steak video to raise awareness for men's mental health. Well, I finally got my fire lit. I've poked my steak through a sharpened forked stick, just so I can stick it in the ground and get it warming through while the fire dies down to coals. I'm going to cook directly on the coals today because that's how I really like my steak cooked when I'm outdoors. Yeah, I've just got to let the steak warm through. It's quite a big, thick steak, so it's gonna take a little while, but it's gonna be half an hour before the fire is ready to cook on anyway. So I thought I'd sit down and do what this video is really about, and that's to talk about men's mental health. Now, I was absolutely delighted to be tagged by Andy from Kent Survival. To be honest, I had thought about jumping the gun and doing this video anyway without being tagged, and I was all ready to do that. I've been having a conversation with a chap called Andy Brierley, who had suggested that I just do it. You know, this is a really important topic. And really, you know, we need to get the word out as widely as possible in my mind, you know, get lots of exposure. Haze Outdoors has started this off. If you haven't checked him out, check out his channel. He's got some really brilliant videos, very funny, very funny bloke. You know, this was his brainchild, and it's a fantastic thing. I, just as most of you out there, I'm sure, have been affected by mental health. You know, you may know somebody within your circle of friends perhaps, or somebody you work with, a work colleague, or somebody in your family. You know, I have. I know quite a few people that have been affected by mental health, and it can tear people's lives apart. Now, these videos are specifically about men's mental health, and there's a good reason for that. As blokes, we're just not very good at talking about stuff, and as a result, people go through a horrendous time without seeking the help that they need, without talking to people, and the statistics show that men are 3 times more likely to take their own life than women. Suicide is also the biggest killer of men under the age of 50 in the UK. These are really powerful statistics. Now, obviously, that's the extreme end of the spectrum. Mental health covers a wide range of conditions, ranging from short-term bouts of depression and anxiety to longer-lasting conditions like post-traumatic stress disorder or even psychosis. Now, for me personally, I went through a bit of a hard time about 10 years ago. I used to be a teacher, and towards the end of my teaching career, I took a big turn downwards. You know, I was in a very dark place. Teaching is a stressful job. You're under a lot of pressure. There's targets to be met. You've got a lot of work to do outside of the classroom. It's not just, you know, you delivering a lesson to a group of youngsters. You know, there's all the background work that goes on. There's the marking. There's the target setting. There's preparing resources for each and every lesson. And I think it's fair to say the pressure got to me, and I spent several months considering my options, and I mean all of my options. One particular morning springs to mind where I actually considered driving my car off the road to avoid going into school that day. You know, that was it. That was the moment I realised this is crazy. You know, I can't continue like this, and I left teaching within a fortnight. So you know, I wish I'd talked to somebody, you know, because this was going on for months before, you know, before that morning, and I didn't talk to anybody. You know, there are people there are people I could have talked to, and really I should have known better. Before I went into teaching, I used to work in mental health. I was a care worker in a secure unit for adults with mental health issues. So, you know, I knew a little bit about the triggers and the symptoms, and really I should have recognised that I was spiralling, you know, down into depression. And I could have gone to my GP, I could have spoken to people. I talked to my wife, but in all honesty, I dressed down how severe it was, and just you know, did what most of us do, and battled on with it alone. The plus side for me is that I got out of teaching, and that was the best move I've ever made. You know, I'm not going to say my mood instantly changed, because it didn't, you know, it took a bit of time to recover. But, you know, now we're 10 years down the line, and I've never been happier at my work. You know, I actually get up in the morning and look forward to going to work. And, you know, that certainly wasn't the case back then. And the other bonus about leaving teaching is that I now have more time. Time that I would have been spending preparing and marking, I now have to spend with my family and getting outdoors and doing what I enjoy doing. And that gives me a huge amount of pleasure. And that certainly helps with my mental well-being. So if I could offer any piece of advice, it is to talk. Talk to people. Talk to your friends. Talk to your family. Talk to your GP. You know, there's help out there. Going to see your GP doesn't just mean a course of tablets. He can steer you in the direction of organisations set up to help people going through exactly what you're going through. I'm going to put some links of organisations in the description box below, but just off the cuff, there's organisations like Mind, for example, and Young Minds, which is the youth version of Mind, designed to help kids who are going through a difficult time. And then, of course, there's the Samaritans. I want to take this opportunity to thank Haze again. You know, this is just a fantastic thing that you're doing. I really hope this spreads wide, and you know, get the word out there, get people talking about it, stop it being such a taboo subject. Yeah, we're blokes and we don't like to talk about stuff, and we get embarrassed and all the rest of it, but you know what? Mental health is important. We've got to talk about it. We've got to get the help we need. So now it's time to tag 3 other YouTubers. I'm going to tag Doug from Pine Tree Line Outdoors in Canada. Show us your stake, Doug. Secondly, I'm going to kick this across to our brothers on the continent. So my second nomination is Az the Bush Pirate. Now I know you don't like doing these tag videos normally, Az, but mental health is an important issue, and it affects German men just as much as it does English men. And thirdly, I'm going to tag Andy from AM Bushcraft. Andy, show us your steak. So this is my steak. It's a ribeye. I'm sure you all know if you've watched my videos before, I love ribeye steak. It's my favourite steak. And I bought this yesterday from the butcher's. I'd normally buy my steak from the supermarket, to be honest, because it's cheaper. You know, you can get a steak for £3 or £4. I went to the butcher's and this thing cost me £13, man. I've never spent that much money on a steak, so I'm hoping it's going to be really good. Yeah, I'm just literally warming it. It's not cooking here by the fire, but what I want to do is I want to get all the fat to render down within the steak. There's a lot of nice marbling in ribeye. Now I like my steak really rare, like blue. So if I don't do this, all that happens is you end up with a steak that's cold in the middle and all that fat is just chewy and it's just not nice. So doing this just gets it all warmed through, all the way through the steak, breaks that fat down, renders the fat down, so when I do actually cook it, it's just charring the outside and it's nice inside. So as you can see, this is almost burnt down to coals now. I'm just gonna level it all off so I've got a place where I can cook my steak. As I said earlier, I'm going to cook my steak directly on the coals. Now, if you saw my last video, which was my bike ride trip with Tom to the coast, you'll have seen me use my new spice kit. These are available from Pagan Preppers, and we've got salt, we've got pepper, which I'm going to use. Now, normally I put a bit of garlic on here as well, but Maggie's going to have some, and garlic is one of those no-nos for dogs, I'm afraid. But I am going to put a little bit of chili on. Bit of pepper, bit of sea salt, There you go. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? I'm going to let that rest for a few minutes before I tuck in. My bit next. That's why 13 quid steaks cost 13 quid. Well, that steak was amazing, worth every penny. Thanks again, Hazy, for for doing this. You know, this is a really good thing you've started here. I hope it spreads wide. Thanks, Andy, for tagging me to do the video, and thank you for watching. Take care, and I'll see you soon. There you go, Maggie. You can do the dishes.